A Nigerian summons me to London from the sea. A Palestinian gives me directions from the south bank of the river. As I hesitate at the head of a plummeting escalator, two sharp-suited businessmen turn to help me descend into the underground. It's rush hour and the carriages are crammed. I shrug off my backpack, tuck it with the crutches close to my body, and reach for the overhead rail, realizing too late all this is difficult, strains my weak arm. As the force of the train rocks through me, an Irishman asks if I need any help. "I'm okay," I say, and lurch against the door. Quietly, in an almost formal gesture that reminds me of the way South Koreans offered money to me in Seoul. He grips my elbow, holds my arm between Waterloo and Westminster. To keep him upright, he laughs before he hops off, and I squeeze into his place by the plexiglass partition with its blessedly vertical grab rail. "Will someone give this lady a seat?" another man asks. Not a single person looks up. Only one of my fellow passengers is asleep. "Charming," I murmur. The man repeats his question and a woman stands, without a word or a glance. I sit. I have taken her seat, her prized rush-hour seat. But I needed to sit. I felt unsafe on my feet. If you want to see how the poor die, come see Grenfell Tower. At Baker Street it strikes me that heeding the call of the poet wasn't perhaps such a great idea. As I teeter down a flight of stairs, a train arrives at the platform below, and a flood of humanity rises toward me, filling the stairwell, a solid mass I can't thread my way through or bypass. Neither can I turn around and go back. I have to wait on the step as people push past me. I feel guilty for waiting, for taking up space, for taking up time. I feel stupid for thinking I could cross London on crutches. I shouldn't have come. I'm no biblical cripple journeying to Christ. I don't need to be another Grenfell Gawker. I need step-free access to a train home to Brighton. But just as I realize how foolish I've been, I see that a small miracle is occurring. People have noticed me, are pressing closer together, and a path has appeared, a narrow, shining hemline along the edge of the stairs. Hugging the wall, I step down to the platform as the physiotherapist taught me. Good foot to heaven, bad foot to hell. On the circle line, a petite black woman smiles, jumps up, insists I sit, and tells me about her corrected fourth toe. She disembarks at Royal Oak, and a tall, ruddy-cheeked couple gets on. The woman looks at my black form-fit boot, laughs a big Midwest American laugh, and asks, "How long do you have to go?" And before I know it, the train isn't underground anymore. We are rushing over grey streets and grey parks and council estates beneath a dull white sky. Then we are there, at Latimer Road, and before the train has even pulled into the station, it is there too. Right there, through the window, watching us with its hundreds of burnt-out eyes, watching us go on with our lives. Will we speed through its shadow, or step into its radius, enter a crime scene, come home to a war zone, or make an unsteady pilgrimage to a place we would normally zoom past? If you want to see how the poor die, come see Grenfell Tower. They greet me at the turnstiles. Their faces are everywhere. From walls, church railings, shop windows, telephone kiosks, above the stiff queues of flowers, the perfume of stargazers and rot, their beauty radiates an intolerable heat. The curly-haired girl on the cusp of her womanhood, the brown moon-faced mother and her 5-year-old daughter, the Muslim couple and their baby, the 2 young Italians, women in bright sweaters, bold prints, smiles and hijabs, older men clad in dignified solitude, Stephen, also known as Steve, Mohammed from Syria, please sign petition, poster after poster, please call if you see, and behind the telephone kiosk, that plastered pillar of love, with its poems and prayer calls and white paper butterflies, behind the viaduct with its incessant trains, behind the vinyl banner on the brick-clad new build, considerate constructors secure everyone's safety. It rises, the blackness I have hobbled here to stare at, as if nothing else exists. The blackness I will never forget, for there is nothing blacker than the windows of Grenfell Tower. Not the niqab of the young woman at the zebra crossing, whose dark, darting eyes are the essence of light. Not the black plastic boot that protects my shattered ankle, not the black shell of my laptop on which I'm writing this poem, or the fascia of my BlackBerry phone, on which I took grainy photos of the burnt-out windows of Grenfell Tower. Photos that fail to show those windows as they are. Blackness as void. The unfathomable blackness we come from and return to. Absolute blackness. Cordoned off by red and white ribbons, guarded from gawpers by police in fluorescent jackets, but impossible to cover up, impossible to hide, yet impossible to approach, until a man strides by me, stops up ahead on the pavement, and raises his arms. Pale, grey-haired, in a grey shirt, his arms lifted to the tower in an open-palmed V for veneration. He appears to be praying, mourning, giving healing, sending love to Grenfell Tower, communing with the spirits, he tells me, of his neighbours, whose children went to school with his, who didn't want to leave this way, whose agony lodges in his throat, whose vanished beauty shines in his eyes as he turns to go back home. If you want to see how the poor die, come see Grenfell Tower. Yes, Grenfell Tower is a mass grave, a mausoleum, a crematorium. It commands our silence. But go and see it. Go and see Britain's burnt omphalos, the navel of our failure to take care of each other. Go and see London's real Olympic torch, our monument to everything this country's leaders do best. Scoffing at basic safety procedures, flouting regulations, flouting the very concept of regulations, ignoring expert advice, ridiculing experts, cutting corners, padding bank accounts, promising improvements, delivering death traps, telling critics to get stuffed, never consulting, never respecting the people they are paid to represent, people deemed a nuisance and an eyesore, a blight on property values, a threat to social order, whose lives are not worth the paper their missing posters are printed on, whose inevitable incineration has been planned, approved, and fully costed, whose raw, homeless hearts must be micromanaged with a drip feed of numbers, a narrowing of remits, a stealthy adjournment of truth. Yes, go see Grenfell Tower. Go by tube, bus, car, taxi, bicycle, wheelchair, skateboard, rollerblades. Tap the pavement with white canes with crutches. Go and see it. Don't take a selfie. Take flowers, food and clothes. Leave a message at St. Clement's. Go and see Kensington's anti-Kaaba, its site of sacred devastation, rising in every direction we face. And if you cannot go, wherever you may be, however frail or far, stand with the disappeared and the survivors. Let us stand with the uncounted, the discounted, at the top of the stairs on the 24th floor. Let us demand those responsible stop their frantic climbing over Grenfell's missing bodies, Grenfell's weeping firefighters, Grenfell's tower of ashes, to a well-insulated freedom they do not deserve. As faces fade and memory flickers, by the candles of our witness, let us light a clear, broad path to justice on the street, with its hundreds of burnt-out eyes, from behind its clean white veil. Grenfell Tower is watching us.